Welcome, my name is Shane Bassett. I'm with Bassett Signs and Woodworking, and today we are going to demonstrate how to install dimensional sign letters. Okay, welcome back. The reason why we're doing this video today is to address some common questions that customers often have when trying to determine what kind of letters they want, how they're installed, and so forth and so on. Some common questions we have typically is, number one, why a dimensional letter? And the reason why you want to use a dimensional letter is obviously they stand off the wall, they give dimension to the letters, and it gives you a more professional appearance. Couple other ways you can install it. You can order the letters and just put them flush against the wall. Typically you do use tape to adhere those to an interior wall, and they look fine. But if you want that extra pop and give your clients and the people walking into your business a more professional appearance, stand them off the wall. They look great. Second, believe it or not, this is an easier install. You're not dealing with tape. Once you stick tape to the wall and peel it off, sometimes you can have some peeling problems, things like that with the wall, especially if you install it wrong. So believe it or not, this is actually an easier install, even though it looks more complicated, and that's what we'll get into here in just a few minutes. Another question is, are they expensive? And the reality is no, they're not. It is a little bit more expensive just from the production side of it. Typically, it's going to add about 25% to the cost of a sign package. And basically what you're paying for is computer time. We have to sit down and calculate where all the studs go, and to do it properly, we make it so that you can't install them wrong. And I'll explain that later during the installation process. You're paying for the stud pads and also the studs on the back. And then we also send you a full-size paper pattern which exactly matches the sign. So that allows you to place it on the wall, tape it up there, get it perfectly level, take a step back and say, you know what, that looks just right. Or maybe, you know what, I want to shift it a little bit. Sometimes when we're dealing with graphics, maybe the logo, if you have a logo above words or something like that, and even though this is the center of it, you might want to shift it a little bit based on your installation. So it gives you a easier way to address that. But overall, these are very, very simple to do, and we'll demonstrate that during the installation process. As you can see here, we've got several different material types. Here we have black plastic acrylic, which has a glossy appearance. They're available in several different colors. We can also paint them. So if you have a custom color, not a problem. We'll laser cut them out of acrylic, we'll paint them and ship them out to you. This material here is an aluminum brushed material. It's aluminum on both sides, and then it has a plastic core. Applies this exact same way, just gives a different look. In this particular case, this is a brushed gold. It's also available in a brushed aluminum, and we can also special order copper and some other neat colors that are available as well. Other materials we make these out of that aren't here, we can make them out of composite woods for exterior use, especially if you want something really thick. We can make them out of PVC, but you don't want to use PVC outside. If you have a sign shop that's trying to tell you that you want to put PVC letters outside, that's bad news, because the heat gets to them and then they'll start warping on you. The only thing you want to use outside is acrylic, so only use acrylic. But there's several different options available to you, but today's video, to keep it short, we're just going to show you how really easy it is to install these. It is actually easier to install them this way as opposed to taping them to the wall, and you'll see why here in just a few moments. Each dimensional sign letter set that Bassett Signs and Woodworking ships out will include a paper pattern or template. That template will include a couple different things. One is centering lines. First, you will have a vertical center line, which you will align with a dot that you're going to place on the wall just to make sure that the pattern is where you want it. The second is a horizontal center and level line, which will additionally allow you to align it on the center of the wall and also to make sure that the pattern is level. Thirdly, it's also going to have an outline of each letter below it. So as you can see here, we have a perfect representation of each letter that is going to be installed. Inside of that are 3 holes on this particular letter, and this is where we'll be drilling a 1/4-inch hole for the studs. This is where some of the confusion comes into play. The studs are very, very simple. When we ship these letters out, they'll have what's called a stud pad on the back. Now, in this particular case, we have 3 of them. They will ship with aluminum studs, which can be used indoors or outdoors without rotting or rusting. Simply, once you receive them, thread the stud in the back of the pad. And prior to that, we're going to have drilled all these small holes. And once the holes are there, we'll put a little bit of clear silicone in each hole. And as you notice here, each one of these studs align perfectly with the hole indicated on the pattern. Once you do that, it makes a super simple installation. Everything comes out lined out perfect. And all you have to do is stand back and look at your hard work. Another type of letter that we commonly ship is our letters made of PVC. The only difference in the installation there would be is on both of these acrylic letters, which I have pictured here, or the ACM panel letters, which are a metal composite. The PVC letters are thicker and are oftentimes painted to the custom colors for the customer. And rather than having these stud pads, they'll just have a hole already pre-drilled in the rear of the letter, and you'll just simply thread the studs into those holes rather than the stud pads, which we're using here. Next, we're going to demonstrate how to install the paper pattern onto the wall properly. As you can see here, we placed a dark Sharpie mark on the wall, and it's perfectly in the middle of the wall. So now we know our center point for the pattern. Next tip, go grab some painter's tape and also place a couple pieces on the top of the pattern. So here we have the paper pattern as we were using earlier. As you notice, there is a center line marked perfectly in the middle of the pattern here. We're going to line that line up with the center line the dark center line we made there on the wall. Additionally, we're going to try to eyeball this thing a little bit, make sure we got it pretty close to horizontal center. So we put the painter's tape on the wall. Now we have the pattern up on the wall temporarily. The next thing you want to do is grab your level. We'll be using this here on the center, the horizontal center and level line. Simply just place the level on top of the line. Try to line it up just perfect and look where you're at. In this particular case, we are just a little bit low on the left-hand side, so we're going to raise that up just a little bit by just readjusting the tape. Recheck it. And we're pretty darn close right there. So the next thing you're going to want to do is tape down, use some more painter's tape and secure these edges so they're not getting in your way. Additionally, you don't want it to pull off the wall while you're drilling. So now I'm going to apply some more tape. Okay, after you have the template taped up on the wall, this gives you one last opportunity to go back and take a step back and look at the sign and make sure that all of it looks level to you, and make sure the placement on the wall looks great. And then after that, we got a couple simple fun steps to do, and the sign will be done. Okay, our next step, we have the template centered on the wall, we have it perfectly horizontal, and now we've also taken a step back, looked at it, made sure that this is the spot we want it. And now the next step is to just simply drill the holes as indicated, as I'll demonstrate. Okay, we have all our sign holes drilled, and we're ready to go. Okay, the next step is the simple step. We're going to put silicone in each one of those little holes. It's really simple. Depending on the size of the installation, you can either use the small tube, which is just a squeezable kind that you can pick up. I prefer to use the larger tube. They're about the same cost, and it's just easier to dispense in each one of the holes. So the next step you'll see me doing is inserting a little bit of silicone in each one of those holes. When you're inserting silicone in each one of these holes, one thing you want to keep in mind, you want to keep the tip size pretty small. And once you've stuck it in the hole and insert a little bit of silicone, just kind of drag the tip along the edge just to kind of tear off any excess that might be there. And just kind of goes at a pretty quick little pace, and you don't have to worry about it leaking out or anything like that. While you're installing the silicone, make sure you just keep a rag in your hand, and then you can wipe the excess off of the nose of the silicone dispenser as well. That'll help you out a lot. All right, that's it. We have silicone in each one of the holes. Now we're down to the fun part where the only thing we have to do is insert the letters and enjoy. Be right back. Okay, the next part we have left is the fun part, and that's actually installing the letters in the wall. We've marked all the holes, we've drilled the holes, we've installed the silicone in each one of them, and now we just simply slide each letter in. There are a couple questions that people come up with sometimes, and if you have similar letters or certain letters like an H, for instance, if it's a capital H especially, can be flipped, and you can actually have an upside down H. So a lot of times people ask, well, how do I make sure that I don't screw that up? Or an O maybe that can be flipped upside down, or an L, or sometimes an I. We make the patterns and also make the studs on the back, the stud pads, so they will only fit one way. So as you see me start putting these up here, for instance, if I was going to put this B up here, and I know we couldn't put it backwards because that wouldn't make any sense, but you'll notice that they don't line up with any of the holes. You can't install them in the wall wrong. It's only going to fit in the correct direction. In this case, it's just straight on. That's it. Now you're going to see me install the rest of it. We'll speed it up probably a little bit, but I tell you, this is the fun part, and it's where it all comes together. And after about an hour or so, the silicone's going to dry up a little bit, and then they'll hold perfectly in place. Here we go. Very easy to do. The same process works for outside. You just sometimes, instead of, if you're doing in the brick or something like that, you'll want to use like a masonry bit or something like that. But it's the exact same process, exact same letters, exact same studs. Everything's the same. Now, we're using short studs on this particular installation, which if you'll see, they're only like 1 inch on these. Sometimes if we're going exterior, we'll use longer studs. And if the longer studs get a little bit drawn out or out of whack, you can bend them in. And if you happen to snap one of these off, it's no big deal. You can use super glue to reattach them on the back. Make sure you get the dot right side up. And that's it. That's exactly how simple it is. Oftentimes people send me messages and ask me, Shane, how in the world do I do it? I send them a message back and it takes like 2 or 3 paragraphs and it looks like a real pain to do, and in reality it's very fun. We do the hard part on our side. We make the patterns and we attach the stud blocks on the back. We leave you the easy part, so it really turns out with a great project. Well, we hope that you found that this as easy as we think it to be. In honesty, we get questions all the time, and we end up replying back, how in the world do we do this? And it ends up being 2 or 3 paragraphs long. Looks like a big drawn out complicated process, but in reality, It's pretty easy, and it also comes out just perfect and great. So if you have any questions in the future, feel free to contact us. You can contact me directly at shane@bassettsigns.com. You can call us or visit our website at www.bassettsigns.com. If you liked the video and enjoyed this, please like and subscribe below. Thank you very much.